Hey, Queen. So, did you ever feel tricked by men? Kind of like they almost conned you? Or did you ever feel like you couldn't quite figure out, were you frustrated with, you know, went on and stuff? So, if you've ever felt like that, then this video is for you. So, we're going to talk about how men con women into having sex and all that stuff, and with commitment. So this was a request by one of our dear subscribers, Irene. And I thought this was a pretty, pretty funny title. Like a funny, a funny video, right? So it's funny because it's like men can't women as if they're like the big jerks of the planet, right? And this couldn't be further from the truth because imagine if you were seeing the world as like, oh, men are evil or the world is evil. So like that's a really sad way to go about life and to look at relationships at men. So today I want to shed some light, and what I hope is that you learn the human nature, the male DNA, that you understand the male DNA, and that you learn how to, I'm not going to say play the game, because a lot of you are like, oh, I don't like playing games. But let me tell you something. In the wild, so you're a human, right? And a human is part of the animal kingdom. Like you're not a floating spirit, you are a spirit in a human body. And that means you're part of the animal kingdom. And so humans, just like any other species, have courtship rituals and mating, what is it? Rituals and mating dances and all of that. And that translates into games. Kind of like, have you ever seen a peacock, like a male peacock fan its feathers to where, it's sort of attracting the female, and then the female kind of runs away and so on and so forth. So the same thing happens with humans, where you want to understand what the mating dance looks like. Okay. You have courtship rituals, which is what I teach. But when you're out in the wild or out in life, you're going to bump into mating dances, aka games. So, girl, either you get with the program, learn, and be a master at the game. And that's part of what my channel is about, and my coaching practice, for you to understand your own human nature and the male human nature. Because if you don't get these things, you're gonna go out in the world completely naive and completely unknowing. And it's only you who end up, crying in the corners. So let's begin. How do men con women into sex and commitment and things? That's what she wrote in her suggestion. Well, we'll talk about what a commitment means, and how you get conned. Basically, what she's trying to say is like, how do men get what they want, which is to get laid with you and then kind of ghost or fade out or whatever without ever committing or so on. Well, it's freaking simple. Why are you opening your legs? Why? Oh, because he made you feel special. Oh, because wait, he was flirting with you and he keeps texting you and he gives you all this attention. Oh, maybe that means that he's into me, right? Because he gives me all this attention. Then all of a sudden, this guy is into you. Well, that's your first mistake. Getting male attention is like, let me think. It's like you going to pee. Like, it's like, I don't know, like the birds getting some air to fly. You getting attention from men means absolutely nothing when you don't want to waste time in things. You get it? So the fact that, I don't know, that he's calling you, the fact that texting you more often than not, the fact that you've gone on a few, inconsistent dates here and there with some guy, or let me just say it, the fact that you're seeing a guy, the fact that you're dating a guy doesn't give you some free pass to open your legs. Like, okay, once you're not 20 anymore, once you got that out of your system, the little like, oh, I need to know what sex is like. I need to experiment and all that crap. Once you got that out of your system, once you're 20 plus, like, it's not even funny that this is still the dynamic, right? Where you're like, well, I'm seeing someone and I'm just going to spread my legs because it's fun. Because, so, okay, if you're here or there just to have fun, I get it. But then don't go around crying in the corners when he ghosted or he started acting out. There was one comment, related to this topic. She said, hey, he seemed to be crazy about me. Like, he was crazy about me for the first 2, 3 months. And then we had this tiny fight and he started like fading out and just kind of, AKA he used the first excuse to sort of start the fade out or the exit, whatever. And she's shocked, okay? Kind of like things were going so well. What happened? We just had this little fight or whatever it is. And the first thing I asked, did you have sex? And she's like, yeah, only a couple of times though. So this is something you need to understand. Men are out there, and this is like subconscious. It's not intentional. It's wired in their DNA, okay? Understand they are wired by DNA to be hunters. Okay, they're not doing this to mess you up. They're not doing this because they're evil. This is just the way they are. Understand it and get it. And they're wired for two things. The what is it? The impulse to reproduce immediately with whoever it is and spread their genome, and or find a long-term mate, okay? A long-term mate that will take care of his offspring. So which biological destiny will you fulfill? The one of like immediate reproduction and spreading of his genome, or the long-term mate? Which one are you? And it's totally up to you. It's literally up to you, not even up to him, or, I guess in a way it's up to him because when he meets you, he immediately knows she is a long-term type of candidate or she is a short-term fling. But it's up to you to decide which way, like he can have all the goals in the planet of like immediately trying to reproduce, but you are the gatekeeper. You're the boss at the end of the day, so you're the one who spreads the legs. So going back, the men, they can aggressively pursue you just for a quick lay, just to use you for that for some time until they get bored and find someone else. They'll go to great lengths, okay? They'll truly go to great lengths. And a lot of them don't. A lot of them will kind of fade out after, maybe 2, 3, 4 months at the most. They typically fade out really quickly when they don't see you as the type of woman who they want to be long-term with, or when whatever, right? So how do they con you? So they're not conning you. Let's take accountability. And they're simply being themselves, but you've been unknowing, you've been naive. So now you're not going to be that. So how can you know this is not going to happen? I say this in every freaking video, and I hope probably my subscribers know this by now. But if you're new, just simply do not open your legs and understand what a commitment means. A commitment is not, oh, like, I want to be exclusive with you for free. Oh my God, you should be so flattered. Like, I'm so flattered. You're flattered because he wants to be exclusive with you for free? Like, somebody help me understand, right? Like, no. Commitment means he wants to pledge his life for you, his assets, his money. Okay? And how do you do that? Through a legal commitment, through marriage. Now, if he proposes to you and there's a wedding date in the very near future, you're entering the safer zone. Yeah. The safe zone is when you are married. And yes, we've talked about that men, they also marry women. They're not that into like the convenient woman and all that stuff. But that's a separate video. And I've talked about that before. But right now, let's stick to, the assumption that you played the courtship game correctly, and he is genuinely crazy about you, and he very soon wants to marry you. Okay? So That's when you enter the safe zone. Yeah. Why? Because marriage is a serious legal container, a legal commitment. It's a real commitment. Like if I'm in freaking high school, I'm naive to think that a couple of words is a commitment. So that's how they con you, right? By you having really low standards. They're like, oh, bingo, low standards. Here's a couple words. Here's a little bit of attention. Here's a couple of words. Boom. Legs open. Right? So I'm like, increase your standards. Freaking like have higher standards and like think about it. Who gets what from you? Who gets you to open your legs? Just whoever says a couple of nice words. That's how they con you when you have low standards of thinking that a commitment is, oh, like, yeah, let's be exclusive for free. Should be so flattered. Okay, if this is you, again, no judgment, but then don't go and cry in the corners that they're conning you or they're ghosting or they're fading out or they're acting out, right? Because a woman that has high standards, high requirements of entry, the odds of her being conned are very low to non-existent, especially if you play it well, down the road. But anyway, conclusion. You will get conned or played or fucked over if you have low standards. If you think that commitment is just a couple of cute words. So don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. Okay, I hope this helps. And I'll see you on the next. Alrighty, bye.